In this video, I will be continuing my daily Dharma talks, where I will be talking about philosophy in general and Zen Buddhism in particular. I am an ordained Zen Buddhist priest. I became a Zen Buddhist priest in September of 2002. That's when I took my Tokudo vows. My Roshi used to give daily Dharma talks. He called it DDT, Poison for Ignorance. And so these videos are an homage to my Roshi, and I think they might have a bit of a Bob Ross vibe to them. If you guys, anybody's seen the meme of Bob Ross, or you're old enough to remember Bob Ross back when he was on PBS in the 70s. He's that painter, the big afro, and he was very calm, almost like Mr. Rogers-like. And if he made a mistake, he'd call it a happy little accident. I'm not that calm, I'm not that good, but you may find some information here that you're probably not going to find anywhere else in terms of philosophy, Zen Buddhism, and Shakuhachi, or other stuff that I make. Lately I've been making Shakuhachi. I make a handful of other items as well, and later on, if you stick around, you'll probably see that. The lighting isn't great, the sound isn't great. I'm just a guy in my shed workshop, trying to share some stuff that I know about, and it might be helpful and useful to somebody else. So if you like stuff like that, by all means stick around. I apologize again for crappy lighting, crappy sound, crappy all of that. Maybe in the future I can get somebody in here that's all polished and stuff and can help me be all polished. But until then, it's going to be pretty rustic in terms of filming and all that. But hopefully the info will be worth it. So lately I've been making a few different flutes. They're in various states of completion. So I've got this one. This is a non-root end shakuhachi. I already have a utaguchi inlay in there. Then here's another non-root end. This one is in the key of D minor pentatonic. That's the D above middle C on the piano. This is E minor pentatonic. This would be in Japanese measuring. This would be 1.8 shakuhachi. This is a 1.6 shakuhachi. This one so far needs some bore work. This one I'm probably not going to sell. I really like the sound of it, and it may turn into my gauge flute for a 1.6. I'll give you a quick sound. This is it has been lacquered. It's very rough bore, but already really like the sound of that one already. I'm old. I have two different pairs of glasses. This pair that was actually left at the house that I'm living in now. These are like more magnification, and these I bought at the dollar store a couple months ago, and they're like really low magnification. I can see great far away, can't see great close up anymore. So, glasses. So if you see me switch glasses back and forth and you're wondering why has he got two pairs of glasses, now you know. Okay, the other one I got here is a root end. This is a 1.8. Really good nodal placement. Traditionally, shakuhachi, well, originally they didn't have a root end. They're called hitoyogiri. Won't get into the weeds. But nowadays, traditional shakuhachi are generally there's a kata, there's a form, not kata like the martial arts dance, but kata as in like the form, the structure. It should have 7 nodes. two close together, one slightly farther apart, the third slightly farther apart than the two. A bigger gap, the fourth node, a much bigger gap in the bottom two holes between the fourth and fifth node. Then the rest of the three tone holes between 5 and 6, and then the mouthpiece at the 7th node up from the bottom. And it should look like it's kind of growing out of the ground, close here, and then it expands as it goes up. This one, I remember how it sounds. Pretty good. We'll get more work, but what I've been doing lately on this is working on the root, the bell, or the kanjiri, whatever you want to call it. And there's a few different ways to do this. Traditionally, it was left very rustic, so it looked. The concept was from Zen Buddhism, which is called Mufunbetsu. Mufunbetsu means no distinction, and usually means no distinction between the sacred and the profane, but it can also mean no blurring of things in other ways. Japanese architecture, they would blur the inside and the outside in their architecture. So, you know, there's a definite outside, there's a definite inside. Then you would have a transition part of the structure where you didn't quite know where was outside and where was inside. And Zen garden, you see that as well, where you don't. It should be blurred where it's obvious that the garden is growing naturally and the hand of the gardener hasn't touched it. Then in another area, it's obvious that the hand of the gardener has touched it. And there's a blurring, that no distinction between, is this naturally, does it just grow that way, or did the gardener intercede? Did he, is his hand at work there? If you know what a bonsai tree is, I think that's a great example. It looks like it's just growing that way naturally, but it is highly, highly structured, and that the hand of the bonsai gardener is all over that tree. So the shakuhachi is a bit like that, where traditionally it would be difficult, or the goal was to blur. Is this just did the maker, the shokunin, just leave it that way? Is that from the bamboo, or is that carefully crafted or carefully structured from the shokunin, the maker? And then at some point, some shokunin, some Japanese craftsmen, shakuhachi makers, wanted to make it a little more sophisticated, a little less rustic. And so they would shave the root end and make it look more like a musical instrument and less like a piece of bamboo with some holes drilled into it. It's called kezurine. I just finished a flute, already sent out to a buddy of mine that was like that. There's another video on my old channel. This one's going to go on my new channel, Zenken Shokunin, which is an homage to my teacher's teacher, Omori Sogen. His Zen practice was Zenken Sho. Talk about that in a couple other videos on my other channel. Blurring of those two channels. Hey, Mufunbetsu. But in any case, where was I? So I'm gonna the flute that I just made was kezurine style. This one's gonna be more rustic, but hopefully you can see the difference and you might enjoy watching it. Let's see if I can bring you in here a little closer and get a better view of it. Be right back. All right, we're back, and a slightly different angle. Let's see if that works. So, a few things that I use for shaping this. Cutting this out of the ground, I use these. This is a masonry chisel, cold chisel, and this is a sledge on a short handle. Looks a lot like Thor's hammer a bit. And then this is, when the bamboo's growing, this is what's used to cut through the roots in the ground. Quick story, quick anecdote. Every time I'm chopping through the roots, it feels like I'm breaking bones. It is the creepiest thing. The bamboo definitely feels alive. But once I get that out of the ground, and then I cut it, usually with a hacksaw, because there's usually rocks interspersed in the roots. Then I'll take an old beater chisel and a mallet or a hammer, and I will clean up the roots a bit. Maybe use a stiff wire brush to clean out all the dirt and everything. So got some cleaning to do here. And then from there, it's usually file work and sandpaper, mostly files. And this, in my opinion, this is where the Zen comes in. Oh look, switching glasses. Wonder why he did that. So, as I've said in a previous Daily Dharma talk, you can use machines to do this, but machines just screw it up quicker. And there is definitely, whoa, sorry about that. There's definitely a Zen to this. Let me get that over a little bit like that. I'm trying to bridge between having this visible to you and being in a comfortable position for me. So hopefully you guys can see that. So I'm just wanting to clean up, in particular, this node. I like this node being shaved down quite a bit, no matter what the style of flute. And then these, not as much. It may look like I am rubbing back and forth on this. I am only pushing forward. It may make noise on the back, but it's very light. It's push and back, push and back, push and back, push and back. So the pressure is applied starting here forward, and then on the return there's like a release of tension. So tension, no tension. Tension, no tension. If that makes sense. It may look like I'm applying the same amount of pressure both forwards and backwards. I can assure you I am not. Every once in a while you may even hear it reseat as I lift up a little too much and then bring it back down. Bamboo wears like steel. It's a lot like working steel. And really requires a file in order to sand it easily. There's also something called taijutsu, which is your technique, and you may be able to see that here. I'm not just pushing, but this hand is guiding it. In addition, my whole body is kind of behind this to a greater or lesser extent. And like I've said in a previous Daily Dharma talk, it may be fairly easy to see how something like this can be a form of moving meditation, what in Zen is called kinhin. It's really has to be done slow in order to be done right.
So before I turned the camera on, I was thinking about telling you guys the story that I think applies to a lot of things and might be able to apply to your life. It's called The True Sound of Truth. And it's in my first published book. I've got I've written 4 books. I've published 2. I'll try to make a link in the description. I don't have affiliate marketing or anything like that. If you buy my book off Amazon, then great. I get a royalty from it, but I don't even know how to do the affiliate marketing. I'm comfortable with 400-year-old flutes and technology. I'm not comfortable with modern stuff. I'm a bit of a hermit. Okay, I'm more than a bit of a hermit. Which, for a Zen priest, turns you into a Zen monk. And no complaints. It's a nice, quiet life, and in order to meditate, it's difficult to meditate with a lot of distractions around. Not that it's not possible. There was a monk, I want to say in the 50s, this is in Japan, who used to meditate on very busy intersections in order to cultivate mind control, where he, in order to be able to focus anywhere, even with a lot of distractions. I'm not there yet. Maybe another 20 years. In any case, The True Sound of Truth. It's in the first book that I wrote. Like I said, I'll try to put a link in the description. It's written specifically for my oldest sister when I was helping her with hospice care before she passed away. It's dedicated to her, written for her. A lot of people like to be gatekeepers of whatever they're into, and it's a typical, common human tactic, mental tactic. It can be a big obstacle for a lot of people. But they'll say something like, "Oh, if you want to learn yoga, you have to learn from me, because I'm a guru, and I'm the only guru that can teach you yoga." Yoga in particular, Patanjali was absolutely adamant about this, where yoga was for everyone. Nobody owns yoga. Yoga is available for everyone. Guanong, the sixth patriarch, believe the same thing, or similar. And so anyway, so True Sound of Truth. Not a real story. This is a fable in order to have a moral of the story. So there was this Zen monk in his 40s. He was, had trained quite a bit. He had reached quite a few kenshos and these little bursts of enlightenment. He had solved a lot of koans, and he was kind of like a rising star in his monastery. Everyone was like, "Oh man, he's like the prodigy. He's the second coming of the sixth patriarch, or Dharma, or Buddha, whatever, Shakyamuni." And he was kind of conceited. He had a problem with that, and but he could hide it pretty good. So he had heard of this enlightened monk, this master, supposed master. He was a hermit, and he lived on this island out in the middle of the lake. And everyone had wanted to learn from this hermit, but no one could find him. So this rising star in his monastery had found out through the grapevine where this this hermit where the island was. So he went to see the hermit. So he has to take a rowboat out to the island. It's that secluded. Big lake. So he gets to the island, tells the guy rowing the boat to, wait here while I go track down this hermit. Tracks down this hermit, and the hermit is surprisingly friendly, and he says, "Wow, a visitor, wonderful. It's so nice to have a visitor. I haven't had a visitor in decades. What brings you here?" And he says, "Well, I've heard that you are an enlightened master, and I'd like to learn from you." And so the hermit says, "Well, I'm not really much of a master. I'm not very enlightened. Honestly, I'm not very good at all. But I like to sit out here on this peaceful island, and I repeat this one mantra to myself over and over and over again." And this rising star from the monastery thought, "Wow, what a coincidence. My main focus is I also practice a mantra, and it's helping me. It has helped me to achieve a lot of my kenshos, my little moments of enlightenment." So he says, "Oh, wonderful! I too focus on mantra work. What mantra do you focus on?" So the old hermit told him the mantra, and immediately the rising star monk crinkled his nose and couldn't hide this look of disgust on his face. And it was obvious to the hermit, would be obvious to anybody. And the old hermit says, "Is something wrong?" So the rising star says, "I'm sorry, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're saying it wrong. You're pronouncing that mantra the wrong way." And so the old hermit says, "Oh no, oh, this is terrible. I've been saying this mantra daily, over and over and over, for decades, my whole life. Oh, this is, oh no." And so the rising star monk says, "Well, don't worry. You're lucky that I ran into you, because I know the correct way to pronounce this mantra." So the old hermit says, "Oh, thank you so much. Please, if you could tell me the correct way." So the rising star of the monastery tells the old hermit the correct way to pronounce the mantra. And the hermit's a bit, not melancholy, but wistful, I guess, would be a good word for it. And he said, "Thank you for this. If you don't mind, I'd like to practice this mantra now on my own." And he says, "Well, of course, I completely understand." So he leaves the old hermit, and he goes back to the boat and tells the guy on the boat to, take me back to the mainland. And they get in the boat, and the rising star of the monastery is thinking, getting a little wistful himself. He thinks, that poor old hermit, he's wasted his whole life saying the mantra wrong. Lucky for him that I ran into him. At least he'll have a couple of years, of practicing the mantra the correct way. And so, he's getting in the boat thinking about this. The guy in the boat is, rowing. And so the guy's rowing like this, and then the guy's sitting, the rising star is sitting facing the boat rower and has his back to the island. So the old guy, so the rower starts rowing and rowing, and he gets about halfway and he stops. And he has this look of terror on his face. And the monk says, "What's wrong?" And all the boatman can do is point towards the island. So the rising star snaps his neck, and right there, standing on the water next to the boat, is that old hermit. He says, "Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. I I think I may have pronounced it wrong. Is this the correct pronunciation? And so he says that he says the mantra the way the rising star says it while he's standing on the water. Well, the rising star is flabbergasted, rightly so, and he says, it doesn't matter. And the monks and the hermit says, no, please, I would like to learn the correct way to pronounce this mantra so that, I can get at least a few years of practicing it the right way. And so the rising star says, obviously you don't need it. But the hermit is insistent. He says, please teach me the correct way to pronounce this mantra. So the rising star somehow composes himself and says the way he believes is the correct way for the mantra. And then he sees the old hermit reciting it that way, the same way he said it over and over again as he's walking on the water back towards the island. The moral of the story is that there's no correct one way. If it works for you, it works. And this isn't just about Zen Buddhism, it isn't just about mantras, it isn't even just about shakuhachi. It's about many things in life. So I thought it was before I turned the camera on, I was thinking about that story. It's in my book. And I thought, I bet there's at least somebody out there that might want to hear that story. So, that's the story called The True Sound of Truth. The True Sound of Truth. You guys have any opinion on that? By all means, leave them in the comment. I think we'll call that a daily Dharma talk. What do you guys think? I'm gonna get back to doing this. You guys can kind of see my technique for cleaning up the root end. And for those who think, he's doing it wrong, hopefully you'll remember that story. So, hope this helps somebody. If you have any questions or comments, please leave that in the comments. If you like this video, please like. If you'd like to see stuff like this, hit subscribe. Talk to you guys later. Bye.